welcome to the channel. I'm Pixel Paul. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, if you can hit that subscription button, that would be very much appreciated. And welcome to another episode of Project PS5. Long overdue episode of Project PS5 at that. So there is a reason for that, which I'll explain. But if you're new to the series, what essentially this series is all about is charting my way through my backlog of PlayStation 5 games. I've been trying to get through them one by one, and when I've completed them, I'll come back and do a sort of opinion video on that game. Now, the reason why I've not done a video on Project PS5 for a couple of months now is I've had two games, possibly, I'd say, on the go, and on both occasions, I haven't finished these games, and I've given up on them a little bit. I'll give you the reasons why I've given up on these two games, but first of all I'll go through Tchia. So this is a game I picked up about 3 months ago possibly, and I'd seen it around, and I was quite aware of it. I knew that it wasn't really a game that I typically sort of picked up and played, but it really caught my eye. I really wanted to try it out. I got it for a reasonable price as well, and here's a quick look at Tchia. So this is Tchia, and not Tchia as I've previously been calling it. Basically an action adventure exploration game. It was developed by AlexiAction and published by Kepler Interactive. The game came out in 2023 on Microsoft Windows and the PlayStation 4, as well as the PlayStation 5 version. The Nintendo Switch version also arrived in late 2024. An exploration game played from a third person's perspective, where you take control of Tchia, who explores a tropical island in search of her kidnapped father. So yeah, Tchia. I picked this up, like I said, about 2 or 3 months ago. I got it for about $7.99 from Smith's Toys, I think it was. And I don't quite know what it was about this game. I think I put about 2 to 3 hours into it, which I know doesn't sound like a huge amount of time. I was well aware that I knew what kind of game this was, and that possibly it wasn't going to be the sort of normal game that I would play. But I wanted to try it. I wanted to give it a go. Essentially, it's kind of like an exploration game. It's quite sort of chilled, mostly. And very sort of visual style of, say, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, very sort of similar to that. It's very cute, very calm and relaxed, all the sort of sea voyages and the island sort of exploration. Yeah, very sort of calm and chilled. But for me, it was a little bit too chilled. A little bit, I don't want to say boring, but I found it quite hard going to play through. It's quite slow paced. There's quite interesting elements to it. The sort of puzzle elements, exploration, like I say. There's a little bit of combat in there as well, but I just found it a little bit too slow paced. And like I said before, I probably played it for about 2, maybe 3 hours, and I kind of knew that it wasn't quite for me. So I did give up on this, and I don't think it's a game that I'm going to go back to. I don't think it's necessarily a bad game. I think a lot of people will really enjoy this game. But for me personally, yeah, I just didn't quite get it. It just wasn't doing it for me. So I did sort of give up on it a little bit. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to go back to this either. But if you do like this kind of game, sort of calm, almost cozy, like exploration game, you'll probably get a lot of fun out of it. But yeah, for me, it just didn't quite hit the mark. And I've got such a stack of other games that I need to get through that I just couldn't sort of justify or want, in a way, to get through any more of the game. So I was a little bit disappointed. Did I get value for money then? At $7.99, I mean, so that's a decent price. I've played it for a few hours. Essentially, I just wanted to try it. So I suppose when you think of it like that, I did get value for money. I can trade this back into CEX for £8 at the moment. So I will be getting my money back for it. So it was almost like renting it, if you like, for a couple of months. So I suppose value for money, yeah, I suppose I did. Will I be keeping it in the collection? No, I will be looking to trade this into CEX fairly soon. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with that one. But like I say, not necessarily a bad game, it just wasn't for me. So, next game on Project PS5 was, again, I picked this one up just after Christmas, I think it was. I got it for £5 on Amazon. It just seemed to drop in price really quickly around that time. And I knew about this game, I'd seen a little bit of it, and did sort of think it looked quite interesting, but I couldn't justify paying sort of full price for it. But when I saw it for £5, I did pick it up, and the game is Immortals of Aveum. So let's have a quick look at Immortals. So, Immortals of Aveum then, a 2023 release, developed by Ascendant Studios and published by EA. The game was released for PlayStation 5, Windows and Xbox. Generally received mixed reviews from the critics and sold fairly poorly. Played from a first-person perspective, the game features about 25 spells, ranging from offensive and defensive magic, and divided between red, blue and green types. The game can be finished in around 12 to 16 hours on the normal difficulty level, but there is about 25 hours playtime in there overall. So, Immortals of Aveum. This game I found to be really frustrating for a number of reasons. So, it's a game from Ascendant Studios, published by EA. This game had a huge amount of money thrown at it. It's a debut game for a debut studio. They obviously had quite a decent budget for this game, and you can tell sort of graphically it's quite stunning. There's a lot of work that's gone into the character design, and you know, there's voice actors that you would know in there as well, some of whom are in the game with their likenesses. I can't remember the actress's name, but she was in Firefly and Serenity, so she's sort of quite well known. But yeah, I can't remember her name. But yeah, there was obviously a lot of money thrown into this and a lot of time put into it, and it does look stunning. There's a huge amount of sort of practical effects that go on. Obviously the game is centered around the use of magic, and it's a first-person shooter, primarily where magic is used as sort of weaponry. To a degree, the game kind of reminded me a little bit, sort of, certainly aesthetically, of a game that came out years and years ago called Too Human on the Xbox 360. There were a lot of similarities, and I was sort of reminded of that game with this. This was probably better than Too Human, but for some reason, again, a bit like Tchia, it just didn't grab me. Now, I did, again, play this, I'd say about maybe 15 hours, maybe a little bit less than 15 hours. I'd certainly say maybe I got about 2/3 of the way through, but I got to a point where I got a little bit stuck, perhaps, and I was having to replay it over and over, and on like the 5th or 6th time of doing that, I kind of sat back and thought, am I actually enjoying this game? Am I actually seeing anything new from this game? And it is a game where you do sort of feel you get to a point and it kind of runs out of ideas a little bit, which is a shame, because I do think there's a huge amount of potential in this game. And you know, like I said, it was absolutely stunning to look at, easy to pick up and play as well to a degree. The controls can be a little bit fiddly, if you sort of go away from it for a couple of days. It does take a good sort of 5-10 minutes to reacquaint yourself with the controls, if you like. So they are a little bit fiddly, but you know, it is a first-person shooter essentially. So once you get those controls going, you just go, you go flying through it. But yeah. It just kind of ran out of ideas. It's a shame because, like I said, the sort of world, the character building was pretty good. The main character is fairly likeable. Very sort of similar in a way to the main character from Forspoken, in that they kind of stand out from the rest of the world in that the sort of dialogue they use is quite different, and they're quite sort of grounded and down to earth. But I found him a little bit more likeable than the main character that was in Forspoken, who felt a little bit too forced, but they kind of have sort of balanced him a little bit better, I felt. But yeah, overall, I got to a point in this game where I just felt, I feel like I've seen everything, I feel like I'm not really going anywhere with this, and I'm almost at the point where I don't really care where the story's going. And again, it was at that point where I thought, do you know what, I think I'm done with this game, which was a shame in a way, but I just couldn't pull myself back into it at all. So, did I get value for money? Well, at £5, yes, I would have to say I got value for money at that. I think £5 is a fantastic price to pay for it. It is dropping in price now, though. I've seen it for certainly less than £20. I think a few places have now started to sell it for less than £15. And I think at that price, it's not a bad pickup. You may get on with it a little bit better than I did. I think probably it's going to come down in price even more. So I would possibly, if you haven't played it, or you've not played it on like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or anything like that, if you want to pick up the physical copy, something less than £10, it probably is worth doing. At the moment, it does trade in for £8 again at CEX. So will I be keeping this in the collection? Will I play it again? I don't think I will play it again. I don't think I'll go back to it. So I will be trading this into CEX. So Immortals of Aveum, good to a point, and then it just gets a little bit dull, which is a bit of a shame. A sequel could, I don't think a sequel's ever going to happen, but a sequel could iron out the kinks and maybe make it a little bit more interesting, but I'm not convinced that that will happen, sadly. So those two games kind of done and dusted to a degree, and it's back to the backlog. So I do have a game on the go at the moment, which I am thoroughly enjoying. I won't tell you which one it is, but yeah, I'm really enjoying that game at the moment. I'd say about maybe a third of the way through it, but yeah, really enjoying that one at the moment. I've added to the backlog as well. So to go through and show you where I'm up to. So the games that you probably, if you've seen some of the other Project PS5 videos, you'll have seen these: Forspoken, The Last of Us Part 1, Double Dragon Gaiden, and Spider-Man 2. And added to that backlog, and again, you may have seen these in previous Gaming Grabs videos that I've done: Power Wash Simulator, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which I cannot wait to play, Final Fantasy 16, Godfall, and The Chant. So those are all the games that are currently in the backlog waiting to be played. Like I said, one of these games I am currently playing through at the moment, really enjoying it. One of these games I've actually finished as well, just recently. I won't tell you which one again. What I will say is that a huge amount of people really, really loved that game. I loved it. I think it was great. But did I think it was quite as good as everybody else thought? That's for the next video. So, that's the update for Project PlayStation 5. I hope you enjoyed that video. As I always say, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, if you can hit the subscription button, if you can give the video a thumbs up as well, that would always be very much appreciated. And I will see you for the next video.